For my literary adaptation exam, I decided to bring Schindler's List, a masterpiece written by Thomas Keneally and then beautifully portrayed and adapted into film by Steven Spielberg. I've been thinking of analyzing this book and the movie since I saw this last one, and it fascinated me so much because, for the first time in the story of films about the Second World War, it has a different perspective. In fact, there are the horrors of the war and the various sufferings to which the Jews were subjected are clear, but at the same time there is a feeling which can be translated in a strong hope in the goodness of mankind. This goodness, of course, in the book as well as in the film, is represented by a single person who, against the ideals of that time, has saved a lot of people without expecting anything in return and by compromising himself. Being so fascinated by the film, I have decided to read the book several times, and it has led me to love even more this work. The author of the book, Thomas Keneally, was born in Sydney on October 7, 1935, and became famous just because of this book, that, in the same year of its publication, allowed the Booker Prize to be won. In addition, the film from his work is the winner of the Oscar Prize in 1982. In addition to writing a large number of books, he is also author of a lot of important essays and dramas. On June 30, 1983, he was awarded the Honorary Officer of Australia's Order for his contribution to the country's literature. Before talking about the plot and the differences between the book and the film, it seems to me necessary to briefly tell who was Oskar Schindler. The latter was a German entrepreneur who became famous, therefore, for saving an impressive number of humans during World War II. His list, which was periodically updated, was full of names of people detained in labor camps who were rescued by Oskar, who released them with the pretext of making them work in his factory, the DEF, Deutsche Emailwarenfabrik, located in Krakow, which at the time was one of the most important in Poland. He died on 9 October 1974 in Hildesheim because of a stroke. After the gestures he had made during World War II, he received in particular two honors, the Right of a Nation in 1993 and the Order for the Merit of the Federal Republic of Germany in 1975. Coming back to the book, let's remember that it speaks of Oskar Schindler, a German industrialist who managed to save over 1,000 Polish Jews destined to die in concentration camps. The famous list with the names of the people to save that he writes, it is elaborated together with his inseparable secretary and friend Isaac Stern, who is also, in effect, the first to be saved by Oskar. In order for the German generals to give him permission to pick up people, especially from Auschwitz, he spent a lot of money and promised that all Jews would serve him to allow the manufacture of weapons that would be used by the Nazis during the war. The truth was actually another. For 7 months, in fact, the factory especially constructed defective grenades just to weaken the Germans and to try somehow to put an end to the tortures they had put into effect, but this inevitably leads to the failure of the factory. Despite the help he gave at the end of the war and his factory on the brink of bankruptcy because of all the money that he had spent on Jews, he was still convinced he could have done more and could save other lives if only in his life he had not spent so much money in his youth for futile things. Despite what he thought, however, in the end Schindler's Jews survived thanks to him and the sacrifice he did for them. There are many topics in this book and in the film. First of all, of course, it is about the Second World War and he speaks of it in a very lucid and detailed way. Another theme to emphasize is the condition of the human being. During the years of war, there was the concept of race, and if you belonged to the wrong race, you were no longer a person, nor an animal, but one thing as affordable as any other item. We find, then, the different reactions that have provoked the war, and in particular the condition of Jews, in the powerful people. On the one hand, there is the cruelty of Nazis, and in the other is the goodness and the desire to do something good, even though this means going against their own interests. For what concerns the differences between the book and the film, it must be said, first of all, that the film is very faithful to the book, and in fact, the full version lasts almost 4 hours. Of course, there are things that are not exactly the same, or that in the film are missing. For example, the book does not really matter to the famous little girl with the red coat that sees Oscars in the ghetto. In the film, however, this part is very important and is also highlighted by the fact that while the film is all black and white, the color of the coat of the little Jew is represented in its original color. Another difference concerns Emily, Schindler's wife. In the book is given a lot of importance to her, and it's clear that even though her husband was not particularly loyal to her, she was always next to him, and she was a clear reference point in his life. In the film, however, she appears only in few scenes and is given much more importance to Oscar's lovers. One thing that is missing is the explanation of how things have gone through the time since the liberation of the Jews to Oscar's death. The book is very detailed about it, and the writer dedicates a whole prologue to the explanation of this fact. However, in the film, unlike the book, the names in the list are listed several times and in a much more precise way, and in some cases, some people are analyzed. Another thing I noticed is that some scenes in the book, even though they are reported very faithfully in the film, have different temporal placement. Some of the events, in fact, in the film are before others that actually in the book are told before. It is obvious, then, the difference regarding the choice of locations. In fact, while in the book a lot of scenes talk about the life of prisoners in Auschwitz, in the film only a few scenes are filmed in the concentration camp for a question of respect for the victims who have found death in that place, and often the action is set in sets that are a construction similar to the original. The last obvious difference between the book and the film is more a curiosity. In the scenes where Oscar goes to the station looking for his collaborator Stan, he notes a bunch of photographs depicting the Jew who would be transported to the concentration camps. In the film, at the top of this long series of photographs, there is a portrait of Anna Frank, sadly noted because of the diary she wrote while, with her family, she was hiding from the Nazis. This was probably a touch of the director who wanted to commemorate her. One thing that I really appreciate in film adaptation was the maintenance of the original dialogues. There are no slight variations and every sentence is reported exactly as the writer had elaborated. For me this book is very important for various reasons. Firstly, I'm very sensitive about the Second World War and in particular to the part concerning the Jews because I believe it is the most cruel part of the history of humanity and, above all, the one from which we all have to take inspiration in order to make this not happen again. Also, I was very impressed with the fact that all the story of Schindler was brought to light only thanks to a lucky random meeting between the author of the book and one of the Jews saved by Oscar, who told him the whole story of his savior. It is absurd to think that among all bad things we can remember about the historical period, one of the few positive notes would be forgotten if only this meeting would not have happened.